On Friday, a federal judge temporarily blocked the state of Tennessee from enforcing its abortion trafficking law that prevents adults from helping minors get an abortion without parental consent. Now, the law makes it illegal for an adult to recruit, harbor, or transport a pregnant minor to get an abortion without consent from their parents or guardians. The judge temporarily blocked its enforcement, citing freedom of speech issues. So, an adult abuser can impregnate a child and take her for an abortion without the parents knowing about it. That's free speech. Joining me now to discuss this is Tennessee State Representative Jason Zachary, who was the author of this bill. He represents the 14th District of Tennessee. State Representative Zachary, welcome to Washington Watch. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you, Tony. Good to be with you.
So first, let me ask you what prompted you to write this law and file it in the state of Tennessee?
Sure. I was personally involved in a situation a few years ago where some guardians reached out to me, their 14-year-old child, kind of putting the kidnapping piece aside because it was a trusted adult. Their 14-year-old daughter called them from Memphis. I'm in Knoxville, which is far east Tennessee. They took a child. The trusted adult took a 14-year-old child to Memphis to take them across the state lines to get an abortion. The guardians called me and said, "What can we do? How can you help us?" And at that point, there was really nothing we could do. So I was directly involved in that particular situation. And so I took that to Tennessee Right to Life and some other organizations. And we looked at kind of what Idaho did and the challenge with their law, because it specifically talked about interstate travel. And so we kind of took a different approach and just simply said that our legislation will prohibit any adult who is not the guardian or parent of a minor child from facilitating an abortion for that child. Simple. Period. End of story. This has got nothing to do with free speech. This is about protecting the life of the unborn and protecting minor children at their most vulnerable time. This is a parental rights bill. And, and as you know, and many of your listeners probably know, abortion is a settled issue in Tennessee. We have the strongest pro-life legislation. We've eliminated elective abortions. The only exception we have is for the life of the mother, and that's been in place since Roe v. Wade was overturned, and we're saving 1,000 babies a month. So we're really proud of that. And so the activist judge who was appointed by Clinton stepped in. She's been hostile to the state ever since she's been in office. She's been in office way too long, and this is an action that was kind of expected.
So this law is needed more now than ever, with Tennessee taking very strong approach to protecting unborn children. So this is similar to what we may have seen in Missouri. I know the Attorney General there in Missouri was investigating Planned Parenthood that was facilitating children without parental notification going out of state to get abortions there as well.
That's right. That's exactly right, Tony. And here in Knox County, which is one of the more conservative areas of our state, Planned Parenthood just reopened a facility in East Knoxville. And so that is a significant concern. And most people don't realize, and I may mess this statistic up just a little bit, I think that Planned Parenthood is the second largest distributor of hormone blockers, puberty blockers. They're giving terrible counsel to young girls and women who are pregnant. And so while they may not be able to facilitate an elective abortion in Tennessee, they are still working with a passion to go after the unborn in a mother's womb. And that's the enemy doing that. We as believers recognize that. And so in Tennessee, and you and I have talked about this on previous shows, we have taken a strong stand to protect children. And that includes children, the unborn, and protecting those minors and those moms who are in a very vulnerable state. We took a strong stand here. We're not backing up. And I feel confident our AG, as they evaluate, I talked to them this morning, as our AG evaluates this and his next steps. Again, this was kind of expected. So they're evaluating an appeal right now. We'll see where they go. But no matter what, it would go to trial. And then whatever that result was, we would appeal that and take that to the Sixth Circuit.
So to be clear on that, Representative Zachary, the judge's decision just puts this on hold. The judge can't kill it. Puts it on hold. It's got to go through the process on to be adjudicated. What do you believe the next steps will be based on your conversations with the Attorney General, and what is the timeline?
Yeah, that's a good question. All uncertain, because they just got this, as you said, It came out Friday afternoon, so they had begun evaluating this today. And I about an hour before we came on, I talked to see if there was any new news, and they said their team is still evaluating. and determining the best path forward. But no matter what, even if it goes to trial, no matter what we know what the result is going to be. Typically, when a stay is put on something like this, a law that we pass from a leftist judge, that's an indicator of how they're going to rule. And so we kind of know what would come. And so we would plan an appeal from there, or our AG, if he feels it's best to appeal now, he'll take those steps. But all of that is still to be determined, because you jumped on this right away. And so our Attorney General is still working through that as we speak.
Well, this in part is fighting for the sanctity of human life at the state level. This is a part of it. Now, I personally believe we need to be supporting and defending life at every level of government. But the honest truth is most of the work has actually been done at the state level. And that's why I commend the work that you've done and other state lawmakers have done. We need to bring attention to this, because oftentimes it is the federal judges that step in, the activist judges. There's probably, as we've seen other states, as you mentioned, Idaho, other states that have similar laws, this is one of those that may wind up at the Supreme Court. It's a common sense piece of legislation, as you pointed out, protects minor children, and it respects parental rights. And those are two fundamental elements that we cannot lose as a society.
That's right. I agree completely. And really, I would like for the appeal, for us to appeal it, and it to be the appeal to be heard and won, and then we win the case here. But ultimately, things like this, I feel confident with us if we took this all the way to the Supreme Court. Most people don't know our Attorney General here in Tennessee. He's the one that led a fight against Title IX. He actually tried that, if I'm using the right term, tried that in front of the Supreme Court back in August, and we won. He was the one that led that case. And so our Attorney General is fantastic. Man, he loves the Lord. He's on the right side of things. He represents Tennessee values, which is important to us. And so I feel confident in his ability. If it goes to the Supreme Court, maybe a good thing for us for precedent moving forward.
Absolutely. Well, and it starts with a piece of legislation that has a passionate voice and leader behind it. So, Jason, I want to thank you for your leadership there in Tennessee, and thanks for joining us today.
Thank you, Tony. Always good to be with you.